Hey, welcome to Love and Liberate. I'm Emilie, your host. I'm a self-leadership coach, embodiment teacher, artist, and an activist for love. Now, I don't mean the fluffy kind of love. I'm talking about the real, the raw, confronting kind of love, the kind that cracks you wide open and liberates you, creating a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Because that is what I believe life truly is about. So through personal stories and inspiring, soul-stirring conversations on all things healing, embodiment, and spirituality, I'll help you navigate the good, the bad, and the ugly with tangible tools, fresh perspectives, and of course, a truckload of love. Here's to loving and liberating, one heart at a time. Hey lovers! I'm so happy you're here again. Or maybe this is your first one. Welcome. This is Love and Liberate, my podcast. And I started it almost exactly 2 months ago. So this is huge for me. Consistency is one of the main challenges in my life because I'm very scattered with my attention. I'm very creative and instantly distracted when something is really inspiring or really interesting. And so for me, it's really hard to show up in times when I'm not particularly inspired or not, triggered or sparked by something that really urges me to create. And today is one of those days. So I thought, how about I speak to it, how about I share something about consistency? Because I'm pretty sure that consistency in a lot of lives is a challenge. Maybe because there's so much consistency and structure that you're kind of losing your lust for life. And I kind of swung to the other side of the pendulum where I lost all consistency and all structure in my life. And yeah, the result being that any form or shape of consistency kind of like scares me or is really hard to bow for in a way because of all the freedom that I've experienced for the past few years. So I'll share a little something about that and also the perks of it, but also the downsides of it, because living a very free life is not always a joy. Not always. But many times it is, though. It's all about the balance. It's always about the balance. So I thought, in today's society, we deal with a great deal of consistency and structure. And yeah, it's interesting to unpack it a little bit and to see where does it actually make sense for you? Where is it serving you and where is it blocking you? Maybe there's a new balance that wants to be stricken. Maybe you're all the way on one end of the spectrum and you want to gently tread your way back to the middle and to see whether there's another perspective available and maybe some freedom by putting more consistency and structure in place or by leaving consistency a little bit behind. So ask yourself, where in your life are you being too rigid, too structured? And where are you being too loose without any grounding? And where do you feel a little bit more balance would actually give you more freedom? Because I feel consistency is also a provider of freedom within the container, within the structure. And I think when I say consistency, let's talk about structure, like containers. Not necessarily consistency of showing up every Wednesday, but definitely having a container and a structure that you keep to and that you are loyal to and that defines your actions. That is what we're going to talk about in this episode. As we're looking at the perks and the absolute benefits and necessity of it, and also the pitfalls and how it can be detrimental and also why and how it can be detrimental to have no structure. Because I've been on both sides of the coin. Like I've lived both ends of the spectrum. So That's why I thought maybe interesting to share a little something about it. So if you like the sound of that, let's dig in. This is the 10th episode of Love and Liberate. So my personal story with consistency has been quite the rough roller coaster ride. Because on one hand, I love structure. I think it's the best. It makes me thrive. It gives me, solidness, grounding. And on the other hand, it is something that makes me extremely angry and rebellious. And I'm like, oh, it sets me on fire. Like I want to break every single barrier or boundary that is set in front of me. And that makes for an interesting cocktail because my life obviously is a reflection of that. As within, so without. Let me explain. When I was growing up in my home, there was basically no real structure. There was no consistency. But then school was always there and it had its rules and I had to, comply to them, and I did most of the times. But that binary feeling of at home anything goes and in school it doesn't, that already created a lot of because at home I wanted more structure and in school I wanted less structure, but I was left with the polarity of both. I did try to make my way around it. I would skip class a lot, and one of my years that I'd been skipping class too much, but then they were like, okay, but the grades are fine, so okay, let her pass. But in the same time, when I would be out and my mom said 1 a.m. you gotta be home, and I would be home like 1:15, I would call my mom and be like, Mom, I'm sorry I'm 50 minutes late. Because I was just like dying for someone to give me some rules and some structures, somebody to wait for me, somebody to want me to be home, and somebody to say, you are not home, that's not okay. But it wasn't there. So I would seek for some kind of structure that wasn't there. So there was definitely a big tension inside of myself going on there. And actually, I haven't figured it all out. But what I do know is that with this information about where I come from and how it has molded me so far, it gives me the opportunity to choose and to find guidance and help where I need it. And this is something that I would like to invite you to, go on a little exploration in your own history. What did structure look like when you were growing up? And was it safe, the structure that was in place? Did it make sense for you? Was it explained to you? Or was it random? And did you have to comply to things that just didn't make any sense or didn't feel good for you? Because I feel that, I know as a trained coach, I know that how we are built as we're growing up, how the environment that we live in and the belief system that is around us and is installed in us, it comes from the structures that we grew up in, and they will define how we perceive the world and how we create our own lives and therefore create the world around us. So I'd like to take this moment for you to make a little inventory of what did structure look like, and how can you see still the remnants of what structure was when you were growing up, or the lack of it, and your relationship with structure. And also, who were the faces of structure? Maybe for you, it was a granddad, or maybe it was another institution. And then I'm going even one step further, because structure is seen as the masculine energy, masculinity. So It's also an inquiry into how do you relate to the masculine? And by masculine, I don't mean men. It can be that you associated masculinity with men entirely, and then that's another thing for you to look at. But let's, from where I'm coming from, I'm asking you to investigate masculinity as such, the masculine energy of structure and containment. Where is it inside of you? How do you express containment, structure, masculinity, masculine energy? How do you use it? How do you appreciate it? How do you honor it? How do you bring it? And how is your relationship with it? Can you appreciate it? Is there too much of it? Do you secretly hate it and want to rebel against it? Like, this is a little bit of an investigation I'd like to invite you to. And as you know, I love to know what things look like on your end to open up my mind and my experience. So if you want to share, in the show notes, you find, as always, the email address love@emilieIris.com. That's where you can send anything you want to share. Or you can find me on Instagram. My handle is by.emilieIris. And yeah, I'm just super curious to know what your relationship with structure is like.